All right, let's dive into something really interesting. Remember that whole Wirecard scandal a few years back?
Yeah, how could I forget that one?
It seems like yesterday everyone thought this fintech company was unstoppable. Then, boom, it just imploded.
Billions, literally billions of dollars just vanished into thin air.
And their auditors, a big name firm too,
Yeah.
they totally missed it. Completely missed the giant hole in their financials.
It really shook people's confidence. I mean, if it could happen with a company like that under everyone's noses,
Right, made you wonder, what's the point of auditors if they can't even catch something that big?
it's a stark reminder that in finance, trust has to be earned and auditor independence is at the heart of it.
So true. Investors need to know they're getting the real deal, not some cooked up books.
Exactly. Auditors are like the referees on the financial playing field. They're there to make sure everyone's playing by the rules.
Keeping things fair so everyone can make informed decisions.
Precisely. And the Enron case, that was another big one, right? Really drove home the importance of what we're talking about.
It definitely showed what can happen when that trust is broken, when those referees miss a call or two or maybe a whole game's worth.
Exactly. And that's why we need to understand the potential pitfalls, the things that can muddy the waters for auditors.
What are the threats to their independence? What could lead an auditor astray, even if they have the best intentions?
Well, the CPA Journal article you provided lays out what they call the Big Five major categories of threats, kind of like the classic pitfalls in a movie montage, showing our auditor facing temptation left and right.
The big five. Okay, I'm intrigued. This sounds serious. Like, are we talking about accounting sins here?
In a way, you could say that, yeah, these are the big ones, the pressure points that auditors really need to watch out for. And the first one, the most common one, is self-interest threats.
Okay, I think I can guess where this is going. We're talking about money, right?
Yeah, you got it. At the end of the day, it often comes down to who's buttering your bread. The client pays the auditor's fees, and those fees can be pretty hefty, especially for larger, more complex companies.
Right, so the auditor is beholden to the client, in a way.
In a way, yes. And the more lucrative the client, the higher the stakes. Remember the Enron case? Their auditor, Anderson, was reportedly pulling in something like $1 million a week in fees.
$1 million a week. Wow. Yeah, that might make it a little tempting to overlook certain things. Like, how much did they end up getting fined, by the way?
Oh, that's a whole other story, but let's just say it wasn't pretty. The point is that financial dependence, even if an auditor isn't consciously acting unethically, it can create an unconscious bias. They might be more likely to give the client the benefit of the doubt when they shouldn't.
Oh, totally. It's hard to bite the hand that feeds you. Sure.
Precisely. And what's interesting, there isn't a ton of hard and fast rules about this.
Really. No clear guidelines on auditor fees.
The AICPA, the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, they set the standards, but they don't get too specific on fees.
So what's an auditor supposed to do? How do they navigate that?
Well, awareness is a good place to start, just acknowledging that tension is important.
Okay, so self-awareness. What's next on our list of accounting sins?
Next up, we have self-review threats. And this one seems like it should be a no-brainer, but it can actually get pretty tricky.
All right, break it down for me. What's so tricky about self-review?
Imagine you're an auditor, and you're tasked with reviewing a company's financial statements, right? Standard stuff. But what if your firm also helped the client prepare those very same statements?
Oh, I see where you're going with this. That's like grading your own homework. A huge conflict of interest.
Exactly. And for companies listed on stock exchanges, those public companies, it's a huge no-no. We're talking about the public's trust, and the stakes are even higher.
Right, because if you were the one who put the statements together in the first place, you're probably less likely to catch any, shall we say, irregularities that might be lurking in there.
Exactly. And it's not just about preparing the whole financial statement, sometimes even just offering certain types of consulting services to an audit client can create this self-review threat.
Interesting. So the lines get blurry pretty quickly.
They can, yeah. There was this case in Malaysia, their Institute of Accountants actually lays it out in their bylaws, where an audit firm got in hot water for providing some accounting services to a listed company they were also auditing.
What happened?
Let's just say it involved some hefty penalties and a whole regulatory mess. Not a good look.
Ouch. Yeah, that's gotta hurt. So it's a tightrope walk for these firms, huh?
You could say that. It really highlights how important those internal controls are, those ethical guidelines, to keep things above board.
Right, because even the appearance of impropriety can be damaging.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've covered self-interest, self-review. That's 2 down, right?
Mm.
What's next in our rundown of accounting sins?
This next one is all about getting a little too close to your client. We call it the familiarity threat.
Familiarity, like becoming best buddies with the CFO.
Yeah, exactly. Think about it. You're auditing the same company year after year. You're bound to build relationships with the management team, right?
Sure, makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you're dealing with the same people for a long time.
Right. You grab coffee with the CFO, you chat with the CEO about your kids, maybe even play a round of golf with some board members. It all seems harmless enough.
Yeah, I can see how that happens. So what's wrong with a little friendly banter on the golf course?
Well, nothing, inherently. But it's a slippery slope, right? The closer you get to someone, the harder it is to maintain that objective distance.
Sure. It's like that saying, love is blind.
Haha. Yeah, something like that. Although maybe in this case it's more like friendship is a little bit blind.
True, very true.
And even a little bit of blindness in the auditing world, that can be a problem. Makes it tougher to ask the hard questions, to really push back when you need to.
I get it. When you're too close to a situation, it's easy to miss things that an outsider would catch.
Exactly. That's why the whole partner rotation thing is so important. For public companies especially, they usually require the lead auditor to change every 5 to 7 years max, just to keep things fresh.
Yeah. Wow, that's a lot shorter than I thought. I guess they're serious about preventing those cozy relationships.
Oh, yeah. No playing favorites in the world of auditing.
I like it. Keeps everyone on their toes.
Hmm.
So what's next on our list? We've covered 3, right?
2 more to go. This next one is advocacy threats.
Advocacy, as in like advocating for your client. But isn't that kind of their job? I mean, to make the client look good.
Well, it's a bit more nuanced than that. See, the auditor's job is to be neutral and independent observer. They're not there to cheerlead.
Okay, that makes sense.
But it's easy for those lines to get blurry sometimes.
Hmm.
Just imagine, you're an auditor and you've just finished this really smooth audit. Everything looks great, the client's happy, you've built a good rapport with them.
Sounds like it could be the start of one of those familiarity threats we were just talking about.
Yeah, exactly. But now, imagine they ask you, hey, would you mind chatting with some potential investors? Just give them your perspective on our financials, from your professional experience.
Ooh, yeah, that's a tough one.
Right. On one hand, you're just sharing your opinion, but
But on the other hand, it kind of feels like you're endorsing them, vouching for them, especially if you already have that relationship with the client.
exactly. And that, my friend, is the advocacy threat in a nutshell. By publicly backing the client, you're kind of putting your objectivity at risk.
Because then you're kind of invested in their success, right? Like it reflects on you.
Precisely. What happens if a year later the company tanks?
Those investors are going to be wondering what you were thinking.
Exactly.
Okay, advocacy threats, got it.
Yeah.
Don't want to be caught in that trap. So that brings us to our final threat, right? What's the last one on our list of accounting no-nos?
This one's a little more, well, unsettling, to be honest. We call it the intimidation threat.
Intimidation?
Yeah.
You mean like someone trying to bully the auditor? I always figured the auditor would be the one holding all the cards in those relationships.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? But you'd be surprised how much pressure some clients try to put on auditors. It can get pretty intense.
Really? Like how? So give me an example.
Let's say you're going through an audit and you find something fishy. Maybe not full-blown fraud, but definitely something that needs more scrutiny, right? You bring it up with the CFO, and suddenly their whole demeanor changes.
Oh, not good.
They might start making veiled threats, like hinting that they might take their business elsewhere, or they start questioning your competence, trying to undermine you.
Wow, that's pretty aggressive.
It can be. And in some really extreme cases, it can even get personal. I think you mentioned that YouTube video where, wasn't there a story about a CEO who showed off his gun collection when an auditor started asking too many questions?
Yeah, that's the one. It's kind of terrifying to think about.
It just goes to show this is serious business.
Yeah, it makes you realize auditors are in a vulnerable position sometimes.
They are. And while those extreme situations are rare, hopefully, even subtle forms of pressure can have an effect, especially if an auditor is feeling unsure of themselves, maybe they're inexperienced, or they're just really worried about keeping the client happy.
Right, it takes a lot of courage to stand your ground when someone's breathing down your neck like that.
Absolutely. It's not always easy to deliver bad news, especially when it's coming from the person who signs your paychecks, but that's where auditor independence is so crucial. Having the integrity to speak truth to power, even when it's uncomfortable.
So it's about more than just avoiding conflicts of interest. It's also about having the guts to call them out when you see them.
You got it. And that's where these cognitive threats come into play.
Cognitive threats. Okay, this is where it gets all psychological, right?
Exactly. We've talked about those external pressures, those big five threats, but there's a whole internal battle going on inside an auditor's head, too. It's a battle against their own biases.
Okay, I'm hooked. Tell me more about these cognitive threats. What are we talking about here? Okay, so break this down for me. What kind of mind games are we talking about here? What are these cognitive biases all about?
Well, think about it. Our brains are hardwired to look for shortcuts, right? We make quick judgments all the time, even with incomplete information.
Makes sense. It's how we process the world, I guess.
Exactly. And while those mental shortcuts are helpful in a lot of situations, they can also lead to unconscious biases. That's where things can get tricky, especially for auditors.
Oh, I bet. So what can they do about it? How do you fight your own brain?
That's where safeguards come in. Think of them as mental strategies, tools that help auditors counteract those biases and protect their independence.
Like mental armor.
Exactly. Shielding themselves from those bias arrows, I like it. And these safeguards, they can be internal or external. An example of an internal safeguard would be fostering a culture of professional skepticism within the firm.
Professional skepticism.
Uh,
Sounds a bit cynical.
Not cynical, no, but definitely healthy. It's about questioning everything, playing devil's advocate. Auditors are trained to never just take things at face value.
So it's like having a healthy dose of distrust, even toward your own client.
In a way, yeah. You have to remember your ultimate responsibility is to the public, to those investors who are relying on you for an unbiased opinion.
Right. Not just keeping the client happy.
Exactly. And that can be hard, right? I mean, especially after weeks, months even, of working closely with a client, building those relationships. How do you flip that switch and go into super skeptic mode?
Yeah, I can see how that would be tough.
It's not easy. And that's where those external safeguards come in. Like, remember the mandatory partner rotation we talked about earlier? That's a big one.
Right, switching up the auditors every few years.
Exactly. Bringing in a fresh set of eyes, it helps break down any biases that might have crept in without anyone even realizing it.
Because even the most honest person could have those blind spots, right?
Yeah.
It's like those optical illusions. You can stare at the same image forever and still not see the hidden picture until someone points it out to you.
Perfect analogy. Our brains are wired to see what we expect to see. Sometimes we need that outside perspective to shake things up, you know?
It's like having a second pair of eyes check your work.
Yeah.
Or in this case, maybe check your thinking.
Exactly. And that's why those ethical guidelines and professional standards, they're so crucial. They provide that framework, those rules of the road, to help auditors make those tough judgment calls.
So it's not just about hoping each individual auditor will be ethical. It's about having a whole system in place that backs them up.
You got it. And that system, it includes things like independent oversight bodies, like the PCAOB, the Public Company Accounting Oversight Board here in the U.S. They set the standards for audits of public companies.
So like a watchdog for the watchdogs.
Exactly. And this goes back to that article you shared, advocating for abolishing the whole audit industry. Their argument was basically that these conflicts of interest are just unavoidable, that you can't be truly independent when the client's the one footing the bill.
Right, it's a pretty radical idea. What do you think about that?
Well, I get where they're coming from. I really do. But I don't think getting rid of auditors altogether is the answer. I mean, think about it. Investors need that independent verification.
It'd be chaos in the markets.
Exactly. Can you imagine putting your hard-earned money into a company without any idea if their financial statements were even remotely accurate?
That's terrifying to even think about. It'd be like playing the stock market blindfolded.
Right. So while the current system might not be perfect, I think by strengthening those safeguards, promoting transparency, and making sure everyone's accountable, we can keep those risks in check.
So it's all about finding that balance, right?
Absolutely. We need that independent oversight to keep things honest, but also to make sure the system itself is trustworthy. And I think that's a good place to leave it for our listeners.
It is. And on that note, a huge thanks to our expert for breaking down these complex issues for us. And to all of you listening, thanks for diving in with us. Until next time, keep asking those tough questions. And remember, folks, knowledge is power.